we're going to see here. So today we're going to see Module 2, Section 2, AWS Core Services. And especially, we're going to see storage, okay? We're going to see several services like EVS, S3, you know, Glacier, the different storage classes that S3 has, EFS, Elastic File System. So we're gonna see several services that AWS has, and are very useful when it comes to storage and making data persistent, which is very important, because if you just leave the data in the root volume and for any reason that EC2 instance is terminated, you're gonna lose your data. Okay, so we have to make that storage persistent, so we can keep it even beyond the time when the EC2 is terminated or eliminated. Okay.
Professor, I have a question on the lab.
Yes.
At the end, I wasn't able to stop the instances. And my question is, are we continuing to use up our 750 hours or whatever it is, as long as those instances just keep running?
You have 750 hours a month.
Oh, a month.
A month.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it doesn't matter if they keep running.
No,
right.
don't
Okay.
keep it running.
All right. No problem. Okay. I was wondering because I tried to, I wondered about that and I tried to stop it and it told me I couldn't stop it. So whatever. Okay.
Yes, 750
Okay.
hours a month for the free tier account. Okay?
Got it. Okay.
After the free tier account, every second or every hour account.
Okay.
All right. So what's in this module? In this module, we're gonna see part one. We're gonna see Amazon Elastic Block Store. That's EBS. We're going to see Amazon Simple Storage Service as Amazon S3. We're going to see Amazon Elastic File System, Amazon EFS, and we're going to see Amazon Glacier. Okay. Very important. I mean, all of them are important, but I would say that this guy, S3, it's extremely important. S3 is going to be in every single exam. That's one of the oldest services in AWS. That's going to be in every exam. Of course, you know, the more advanced the exam is, the more complex S3 is going to be, right? So, but this guy, S3, and this guy, Glacier, they're going to be almost everywhere. Because Glacier is S3, but it's a storage. It's a storage class, right? When we see Amazon S3, we're going to see the storage classes that Amazon S3 has. And this one is one of them, okay? Now, we're going to discuss concepts related to storage, like, for example, how to understand the differences between different types of storage. And we're going to review the basic pricing that differentiates the storage solutions. Okay, pricing is very important in every single service, right? It's going to be there. Remember, one of the factors that makes people hold back when going to the cloud is now we're going to the cloud. When starting anything in life is cost, right? So cost is very important. If you want to start something, you always look for price. Okay. So here we have these guys. These are the four guys that we're going to see. Amazon S3, Amazon EBS, EFS, Glacier. Don't forget what these acronyms stand for, okay? Elastic Block Store, you may have a question where you have to choose which one is correct, right? We may have Elastic Babylon storage. You may have estimate bilateral student. I don't know, whatever. You may have anything. Okay, you have to remember that it's elastic block storage. Of course, they're not gonna put something that is way off, you know, like something that doesn't have to do anything with storage. They're gonna put words are close to this, to elastic block store. They may say elastic block storage, or they may say elastic blockage store, something. They may say something similar. And this one is elastic file system, not elastic file service. Okay, be careful with this. It's elastic file system. Okay. Now, the first one, Elastic Block Store. Okay, what do you have to know about Elastic Block Store? Elastic Block Store is nothing else. It's nothing but a thumb drive, a virtual thumb drive, something that you can plug in your computer and plug out, and that's it. So you can attach Elastic Block Store to an EC2 instance or detach it. But it has to be attached to only one EC2 instance, right? So an EC2 instance may have several EBSs, but an EBS can only be attached to one EC2. Okay, don't forget that.
Can you say that again, please?
If the Elastic Block Store is attached to an EC2, it cannot be attached to any other EC2. It's only one EC2 instance per EBS. Okay, but you may have several volumes or several EBS volumes in an EC2 instance. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. An EBS volume can only be attached to one EC2 instance, but an EC2 instance can have several volumes attached to it.
So basically what you're saying is, if I understand that correctly, this is like a hard drive, like an SSD. You can only attach it to one.
That's right.
EC2.
It's like an external hard drive. Okay.
But it's a digital implementation.
But it's virtual. Yes, you can have several EBS or several external hard drive connected to a computer, right? At the same time. But you can have one external drive connected to both the computers at the same time. And so it's only connected. There's only one. Let's say that this is the USB connection, right? Right. So there's only one, right? It can only be connected to one computer, unless you have an adapter, right? In this case, virtually, there's no adapter. So it's only one computer. So an EBS volume can only be connected or attached to one EC2 instance. But an EC2 instance may have several volumes attached to it.
Excuse me, Professor, I don't see the Nearpod slides in, I don't see it for this session.
I put it in the chat.
You did?
It's not posted on Google Classroom?
I didn't see it now.
Yeah, I have them in Google Classroom. That's how I reached them.
Is that the one that you sent at 8:55 today?
Yeah, every day is sent to, I think it's 8:50. Every single day that we have class is scheduled to be delivered at 8:50.
I don't see it there.
So did you get the link that Maria posted?
Okay, let me look. It's in, 1 second.
Okay, so we continue. You find it?
I'm sorry, I'm looking. I have a bunch of windows open. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So here we have a little graphic here about the difference between both of them, block and storage, object storage. All right. So something that you have to understand is that when you talk about elastic block store, you know, that word block tells you that this kind of storage is a block storage. Okay. So you may have a question in the exam that tells you that the company is looking to store their information in a store that stores objects in blocks. So that will be EVS. But if they tell you that they need an object level storage, that will be S3. Okay. So EVS is a block storage and S3 is an object storage. Okay. Object storage S3, block storage EBS. Okay, very important. Now, what's the difference between them? That if you change something, let's say that you update a file in EBS, you don't have to change the entire file. You can change one block of it, just a piece of it. Okay, just a piece. That's why it's called block storage. Block, 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 block. All of these are blocks, right? So you only change with the block a piece of it. Okay, that contains, for example, a character that you want to change in a text, right? Only block storage. The difference between this and the S3 is that for S3, you have to change the entire object. Remember when I added the link in my name on my website, on the website for the class, right? I have to change the entire thing. I have to deploy it again and change the entire thing, right? I have to change the entire file because I have to deploy it again. I have to upload it to S3 again. Okay, so object level, if you want to make a change, then you have to change the entire file. Okay, and if you want to make a change in an EBS, then just a piece of it, just the portion that you changed. Now, this makes this guy more expensive than S3. Okay, because it's more convenient, right? Now, EBS is more expensive than S3. S3 is ridiculously cheap compared to EBS. Okay. The good thing about EBS is that you can attach it, detach it, and all that. S3 doesn't depend on anyone. Okay. This, for that to be able to work, it has to be attached to an instance. If it is not attached to an instance, it has no use. It's useless. Okay. S3 can store objects that don't depend on anything. Okay. As you can see, my code for my website, for the website for the class, is stored in an S3, and it doesn't have an EC2 instance. It doesn't have that. React itself has the server, and it doesn't need any virtual server. Okay, or actually does, but it doesn't need the one from AWS, right? So that's the difference between this guy and this guy. If you want to change 1 gigabyte file, okay, you only change the portion that needs to be updated with EVS. If you want to do it with S3, then you have to change the entire file. You have to deploy, you have to load the entire file. Now, maybe you have a question, Professor, when do I use one, when do I use the other one? It's just
that was my question.
It's up to you. Okay, it's up to you, right? But if you need to have information from an EC2 instance, you need to have this guy. Okay, the EBS. Remember, it's like a hard drive, right? If a computer doesn't have a hard drive, how can you store information? Persistent information, right? Because you can have the RAM memory that's for volatile, memory. It's when you turn off the computer, it's gone, right? But if you want to have persistent information, you have to have a hard drive. That's the one that stores all the information there. The same thing. You can have an EC2 instance without a volume. You need a volume. And when I say volume, I mean an EBS or root volume. Okay. A volume is just a storage. If you don't have a volume, you cannot store the information in an EC2 instance, right? This guy doesn't need any EC2 instance. You just upload the code or the file in S3 and that's it. You can save it there. You can fetch it using other services. You can host a website and that's it. We don't need a server for this one. At least an AWS server. We don't need it. Do you guys?
Can you deploy both of them with an EC2 instance? So block storage, I'm seeing block storage more like easy access to updating information quicker.
Okay, this one doesn't have web hosting, right? This
Okay.
one is just a drive that you attach to to an EC2 instance. Without an EC2 instance, it's useless.
That doesn't need it.
Okay, this one in its own, it can work. It can store information. It can host a website. This one is different.
Yeah, I use S3, but what I'm trying to get at, can you deploy both of them?
You can deploy this one, but actually you will not be deploying the store. You will be deploying the EC2 instance.
The EC2 instance. Okay.
Yeah. It needs a server, right? I mean, let's see. You have a external hard drive. Can you do anything with it itself alone? Can you do anything with it?
No.
Can you show people what is inside unless you connect it to a computer?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. It by itself, it's useless. It needs to be attached to an EC2 instance to be able to function. And then the EC2 instance will be deployed and all the information that is in the EBS volume will be reflected on the EC2 instance. But go ahead.
So I see a benefit of EBS. It might be a little bit more expensive, but you can actually you can modify things faster, I assume, right? Because you don't have to redeploy every single instance. You don't have to reformat your hard drive every single time you want to make a change, right? Which
that's the main advantage, that you don't have to change the entire thing. It's just a block. Okay. And it's not you don't do that manually. It's what happens behind the scene.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to go, what's the block? You just change whatever character or word or line you want to do, and by itself it will only update that block where that information is, not the entire thing. Okay. And it's faster, of course, because it doesn't have to do the entire. Can you imagine if you have a file that is let's say 20 gigabytes? Do you think it's going to be fast? It's going to take some time, right? to update. Maybe it have probably 500 gigabytes. I don't know. It's huge, right? So in this case, in the EBS storage, it only goes straight to that particular section or block where that update needs to be done, and then it's going to be super fast. Okay, and that comes with a price. It's more expensive. All right, Amazon EBS allows you to create individual storage volumes and attach them to an Amazon EC2 instance, right? So you can create volumes, right? You can create volumes here. Can you see my screen? You see well, right? Because I incremented the size of the letters. Can you see better now?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, it's giving me a warning here. It's telling me that my website is public. But that's okay. That's fine. So if I go here to the EC2 instance, right, section, and then the dashboard, and then I come here where it says volumes, you see here volumes, I can create a volume here. Right now there is no volume, right? I can create a volume here and just choose whatever size I want. You know, the minimum is 1 gigabyte. And the maximum is 16,384 gigabyte. So what's the difference between gigabyte and gigabyte? The gigabyte is a little bigger. It has more capacity than a gigabyte. Okay, so this is another unit of measurement for storage, gigabyte. Okay, So the Iops is between 300 and 3,000. Well, actually, whatever you put here is gonna be multiplied by 1,000. So the baseline is 3, right? Iops per gigabyte with a minimum of 100, burstable to, this is more advanced. So don't worry about this for now. It's more advanced. So if I choose here, let's say if I choose here 200, it's gonna be 600 here. So it multiplies this by 3, right? So for every one, it's gonna be, let's say here, say 3. So 100, see, by 3. When you get to 100, stars multiplied by 3. That's why it says here, baseline of 3 Iops per gigabyte with a minimum of 100, right? And then its baseline is 3, multiplies by 3. So I put here 300, it's gonna be 900, okay? And the maximum is 3,000. So we have here in the, you can put the volume in this. By the way, a volume is a zone specific service, okay? You cannot use the volume outside of your zone, okay? So actually outside of your region, not zone. You can have that in different zones, right? If you want to have a volume in a different region, you have to copy the volume, okay? You have to copy the volume. You cannot give the volume, use the volume in another region because it's region specific, okay? Here we have a snapshot. Maybe if you want to create a snapshot for that, you can encrypt the volume if you want to. You can use a master key. You can use the default one that AWS gives you. You can create your own keys. You can give it a tag. You can create, call it volume 1 or whatever you want. And then you create the volume. Whenever you create the volume will not be attached to anything. So you have to attach it to an EC2 instance. So let's say that I want to come here and say default. I wanna encrypt it and I wanna call it. Let's say volume 1. Okay, let's call it volume 1. So I just create the volume. The volume is created. So this volume has a specific size of 300 gigabytes with 900 IOPS. IOPS stands for input output per second. Okay, input output per second. It's a GP2, general purpose. Okay, we're gonna know about this later. General purpose is in the status, the state of creating, right? It is this availability zone, US. Okay, whenever you see this without a letter, you know, forget about the A now, right? Whenever you see US East 1, that's the region. That's the region, right? And whenever you see a letter next to it, that is an availability zone. So regions, for example, US East 1 has region US East 1, has AZ US East 1A or US East 1B or US East 1C or D or E, okay? So the letter means that that's an availability zone. Without letter, it's a region. So right now, this volume is available, right? If I right click, right? And I click attach, I can attach it to a specific instance, but in this case, I don't have any instance, right? So I would have to create an instance. So let me come here to EC2 and create an instance like I do, like I've done so far, right? I choose the AMI. I just keep the same instance type. I don't put anything here. I don't need to put anything here. Everything is fine here. So I just storage. This is the one that comes with the EC2 instance by default, right? That's the root volume. This is the one that's gonna disappear if I stop the instance or terminate it. But if I terminate the instance, the same happens with the volume that I'm going to add. If I terminate the instance, the volume will disappear as well, okay? But what I have to do, I have to create a snapshot. Okay. I create a snapshot before the instance disappears, or I can do backups. Okay. That's highly recommended just in case something happens and you lose your server, you're not highly available or something. Then you're gonna be in trouble if you didn't any backup or anything.
I was
Okay.
going to ask you quickly, Dunieski, this is Oscar. What is the difference between a snapshot and a backup?
A snapshot is a picture that you take of something, and they're very similar. They're very similar, but a snapshot is it's something that you do manually. That's something that you have to do in another using other services, a backup. But a snapshot is something that you can do right here in the EC2 instance section. For example, if I click here.
Yeah, in the last lab, you know, we had to do snapshot. So yeah, I got it.
Here,
but I mean, I didn't know the difference with a backup. That was my
question.
They're
similar, and
okay.
they don't incrementally. So they only update the section that you changed. Okay, they don't back up the whole thing, right? So you can have several types of. There's one that is incremental. The other one is differential, depending on the type of backup that you use, right? But snapshots are incremental or differential. Why not? And here in this section, you don't have any backup thing. The snapshots are only done here, right? You can do a snapshot of your EC2. You can do a snapshot of your RDS, which is the database, okay? And that's pretty good. That's pretty good because, you know, that's something that will get you out of trouble in case something happens.
So can you use, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I was going to ask you,
Oscar.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. So I was going to ask you, does the snapshot as well incorporate, for instance, settings of the EC2 instance, so that if for whatever the reason, you know, it goes, you know, corrupted or anything, you know, I can take the snapshot and bring with me all the settings of the EC2 instance?
Well, actually, you should take a snapshot regularly, because if you take a snapshot of a broken instance, that's what you're gonna get. So you have to do snapshots automatically. You know, you have to automate snapshots. So you can use the one that was taken before the EC2 instance broke.
So it's like an autosave function.
Correct.
The
snapshot is nothing else than a frozen image in time of a specific service.
At a specific time.
Yeah,
so can you say that a snapshot can be used for versioning control?
Why not? Why not? Yes, because it's a different version every time, and you use not. Of course, if the version from yesterday and today we didn't make any change, it's gonna be the same, right? It's gonna be the same. There's not gonna be, but there's gonna be an ID for every single snapshot. So there you go. You have a version of your EC2 instance. Okay. So I'm here. I already have the EC2 instances created. Let's go to the volume section here. In the volume section, I can attach this guy, or actually another one was created because I created an EC2 instance, right? The one that I created is this one, the second one. Okay, so I'm gonna attach it to an EC2 instance. I can come here. Let me see, one moment. Oh, you see?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's not region specific, it's zone specific. So the EBS volume has to be created in the same availability zone as the EC2 instance. That's why it doesn't show. When I try to attach it, you see here, it doesn't show anything because in different availability zones, right? But I think that maybe I can modify this volume. No, I will have to create another one. Let me delete this one. Delete here. Is deleting, and let me create another one. This one, encrypted and master key. I'm gonna choose the default one. I'm gonna call it the same volume 1. Okay. And this one is gonna be, let's say, I'm sorry, it's gonna be 300. So I can make it 900 here. Okay.
Change the AD zone. Change the AD zone.
They hire
The AZ zone.
this guy, the more expensive it's gonna be. Okay.
Change your AZ zone to
Yes.
to D. Mhm.
Right. So now I can create the volume, and then when I come here, it's being created, and it's available now. Now, if I attach it, there you go. You see,
Ah,
this is the EC2 instance that is running. It's gonna be mounted here. This is a file, okay, for mounting volumes, and you attach it, right? Now it's gonna be in use instead of available. It's gonna be in use. If I go to the EC2 instance right now, and I check, if I just refresh this, and I come here, you see, I have a root device and I have a block device. Okay, the root device was the one that came with EC2 instance when I created it. It's mounted here. Okay, and the block device is mounted here. That is has this, and then it's right here. You see, now I have two volumes. They call it devices. It's a device. It's a virtual thumb drive, right? It's a device. They're both attached to my EC2 instance. Okay, so I can do a backup of this one if I want to. So if something happens, I don't lose this guy. Okay. So this is something, a little high level for you to understand how you can create a volume and then how you can attach it. I can come here and detach it, right? Just in case I want to attach it to another EC2 instance, I can detach it, right? Because it cannot be attached to two EC2 instances at the same time. It's only one, right?
but it has to be in the same AZ zone, right? AZ.
Correct. Otherwise, it's not going to show when you attach it. It's not, the EC2 instance is not going to show.
Christian Lopez has a question in the chat.
Just one moment, Christian. Let me come here again and refresh this so you can see that it's not there anymore. Okay, so it's not mounted anymore. Remember, it was inside this, and then there was another one, and there was another one. It's just available now. It's available for attachment, but there's nothing inside it. Okay, of course, this is a feature that EC2 instance has that is there available, but there's nothing inside because I detached it. Okay, if you compare what we had before and what we have now, there's nothing here. All right, so Christian, go ahead.
Buenos días, Sofía. ¿Está bien?
He doesn't have a mic. He doesn't have a microphone.
¿Tú le lo tocama? En verdad. Voy a chequear ahorita.
Hello.
So Christian is asking.
Yeah.
When would someone need to create a volume? Like an example, why someone would rather create a volume instead of another instance? Could someone ask him, oh, never mind. He wants us to ask you this. So why would you create a volume instead of an instance?
Okay, you created a volume to have more capacity. Why would you have several external hard drives installed to a computer? I mean, connected to a computer to have more capacity, right? More storage, right? One volume can store less than two, right? Now that's EBS is important because with EBS you have control, right? The one that comes with the instance, you have no control with it. But EBS, you can choose the Iops, you can use the size of the volume, you can use the availability zone. You can have more control with the volume, with the EBS volume. And of course, it's a block store. So it's gonna be super fast. And you can attach it and detach it. You can make a snapshot of that. But creating another EC2 instance, you may be over provisioned You may not need another server, right? But you can have one server and several volumes to store more information with that, okay? The volume has nothing to do with the instance type, okay? The instance type is to increment or decrement the strength, the power of your EC2 instance. So if I don't need to, if my traffic can cope, can be coped with one EC2 instance, I don't need another EC2 instance, but I may need more storage. Okay, I may need more storage. I don't need more power, but I may need more storage. That's why I may create another EBS volume. Okay, so storage has nothing to do with the capacity of my computer. Okay, let's say that I have a computer that has, the CPU has a lot of CPU and a lot of RAM memory, but I need more storage. So I will attach another external hard drive. Okay, so EBS's volume is not power for the computer per se. It's more volume, more storage, and the store has a speed storage. You can use the Iops, input output per second, how fast that storage is gonna pick all the information. Okay, but I don't need to create other EC2 instances if I don't need them. Okay, I don't know if that answers your question, Christian.
This is Ciara. So
Yeah. Yes.
When you say the storage has nothing to do with the capacity of the computer, you would just attach another, like, what would you attach to get
what
more?
Do I attach? This guy, the volume.
This is add more volume. Okay.
Yeah, I attach it to an EC2 instance. Okay, so I may say this, attach this guy, right? I may create another guy. Okay, and I can choose the type of volume I need, right? If I need more capacity, I can choose a different one. So I can add another one, but this one may see probably I need another, I don't know, more maybe to be maybe more highly available. I don't know, something like that.
And Professor, will AWS tell you if you need another server?
You have auto scaling.
Okay.
Okay, you can set up auto scaling here, and then use CloudWatch to have a scaling policy, just in case if the CPU is greater than 80%, give me another, right? So I have another. I'm sorry, I didn't choose the correct. I think I did it additional availability zone. So I'm going to here again. Okay, let me create another one here. We'll have here 300, and I'm going to choose here D. I'm going to encrypt it. I'm going to choose. It's a good idea to encrypt your volume. Okay, it's a good idea. So I can get this guy and attach it to the same EC2 instance, right? Don't forget that the more I attach, the more I'm going to pay. So I can attach it to the same thing here. Okay. So right now, if I go to my EC2 instance and I just refresh, you see, I have two. Okay. So what I'm guaranteeing here that I have more storage for my EC2 instance. I'm gonna pay more, right? But sometimes it's good to have two small ones than that one big. Okay. Sometimes it's better to have two for more high availability. Okay. Very important. If you have only one, you may lose a lot, right? So let me delete these volumes here. First, let me delete. Well, actually, I cannot. If I try to delete my instance, what's going to happen? Let me try something here. It's shutting down, right? So what's going to happen with the volumes? Let's see what happens.
They're gone, right?
Let's see. You see what happens?
Mm-hmm.
So it disconnects from the EC2
Yeah,
instance?
it detaches.
Mm-hmm.
It detaches because I deleted, but there was a third one, right? There was a third one. I don't see it here. The third one is the one that comes with the EC2 instance. It's called the instant store. Instant store. The instant store, as soon as you terminate the instance, it will go away, right?
Can you restart
But-
your EC2 instance to see if it reattaches to the volumes?
No, it does, because it will be a different ID. Remember, this works by IDs. When you
So
attach,
every time you stop an instance, you have to reattach a volume?
correct.
No.
Okay, let's say that your computer breaks and you buy a new one. Can you think that your external hard drive will be automatically plugged into your new computer?
Well, I see this more like when I turn off my computer and I turn it back on.
No, this is not stopped. I terminated it.
Oh, you terminated. Okay, I see. I didn't see that you had done that.
Okay. So I would have to, but you know what? You know what happens here? If I had some information here, I'm gonna lose it because the computer doesn't exist anymore. So what I have to do is create a snapshot of this before I terminate my EC2 instance. Okay. So this doesn't have any use unless I make a snapshot before I terminate the instance, right? A snapshot of this is very important. And where do you think I'm gonna store the snapshot? Give me
S3.
S3.
3 buckets.
Right.
Uh-huh.
S3. S3 is the place to store backups, snapshots, and all that. Okay. So S3 is a tough guy. You're gonna see it everywhere. Okay. So we continue here. Amazon EBS offers block storage. Block. Don't forget this very, very important word. Block. Block is S3 object. Object. EBS block. Volumes are automatically replicated with its availability zone. Okay, whenever you create one, it's replicated within its availability zone. Okay, its availability zone only. Can be backed up automatically to S3. Right here says it. S3. It can be automatic. Do you think that what do you think is more convenient, manually or automatically?
Automatically, of course.
Right. So the goal of this whole thing is to get things to work automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's better than anything. You have so many things to take care of in your workplace and in your business that you're not going to be manually backing up your computer. Okay, so the uses you can use for boot volume, a store for Amazon EC2 instances, boot volume. So one that boots there. Data storage with a file system, database hosts, enterprise application. So it can be used for all this. Okay, for all this. This is more like a bigger thing, like an application that enterprise, right? So an EBS is super important. Okay, it's super important. If you want to have a server that has persistent storage, then the guy is EBS. Okay, and when you have an instance that has an EBS volume, then it is called an EBS backed instance. That's what they call it. EBS backed EC2 instance. Okay, because it has all the information there in the EC2. Okay, so EVS volume types. Okay, don't forget these 4 guys. They are going to be in your exam. Okay, So we have two types. Wait, one moment. We have two types. We have solid state drives, SSD. Okay. And that's going to be more expensive. Don't forget that. Okay. This is more contemporary. It's going to be more expensive. If you have a Mac computer, Mac never uses HDD. They only use SSD, which stands for solid state drive. Okay. So that's very popular right now, this type of hard drive. Okay. And this for general purpose, it's like the word says it, general purpose, right? It's used for almost everything, right? And it's also known as GP2, okay? GP2, don't forget that, GP2, right? Now, we also have provision Iops. Provision Iops, it's for computers or for applications that need a lot of performance, a lot of, power, capacity. So you would choose provision Iops for that, okay? Now you have this guy, Throughput Optimized. This is for optimization of production. This guy, like I said before, is cheaper, hard disk price. And we also have code. The code is very infrequently used code. Now, the maximum volume size for general purpose is 16 TB. Okay. We have perforation, the 16 as well, 16, right? So the maximum volume is 16,000. Now, here is when you have to decide which one you're gonna use. Okay, this is the guy that tells you what you need. If your capacity, if your computer, if your application needs more than 16,000, then general purpose is not what you need. Okay, what you need is here, 64,000. Okay, this is the one that goes over beyond 16,000 all the way to 64,000. Okay, and Iops Volume, I think it's here. Here, you see here. This is the guy, the Iops that you need. All right. We need 900 here. That's why we have what?
3.
Which one? What type is this? What is this?
That's general purpose.
What is
right?
GP2? GP2 is what?
General purpose.
General purpose, because you only need 900, right? But if you need more than 16,000, then this guy is not the guy. Okay, we're gonna need another one. Okay, then we're gonna need another one, which is provision Iops. Okay, so in this guy, then we have here 64,000. You see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here we can have, for example, let's say 2,000. Maximo says Iops. Let's say that you want Iops. That you want 60,000.
So quick one, Juneski. So whenever we talk about volume, within cloud computing, we talk about that unit of measure that I haven't ever heard in my life. This gigabyte stuff, not gigabyte, right? But gigabyte. That's the term.
No,
that
you can use gigabyte too, but these guys, they use this. Okay.
Okay. But is it only for Amazon, or is it as well for?
No, that's the standard. Okay. I think it's Gibi.
No, Gibi. Gigabyte.
Gigabyte, yeah. Right here.
So what's the difference? Is that just a name?
It's a unit of measure capacity used in computing. The prefix gigi originated with the binary system for measuring data capacity, which is based on powers of 2. 1 gigabyte equals 2 to the power of 30, or 1 1
Maybe 1 billion.
1,073,741,824 bytes.
What's the difference between a gigabyte and a gigabyte?
It's bigger. It's bigger. It's a little bigger than a gigabyte. Okay, but it's a measurement that they use in cloud computing. Okay, more than anything, because for your computer you use gigabyte, right? But for cloud computing, it's become a standard to use this measurement instead of gigabyte. Okay, so the binary prefix include gigi, gibi, mebi, gibi, tebi, pebi, x, all these guys. So let's say this versus gigabyte. Okay, so a gigabyte is equal to 10 to the power 9.
Oh, okay.
A gigabyte is 2 to the power 30. Well, it's another
I
measurement.
have never heard this before. I guess it's only for cloud computing, huh?
Yeah, that was my point. So, and it seems to be kind of probably pretty new, right? I mean, nothing that was here 10 years ago, right?
They're almost the same size though. It's like slightly bigger.
Yeah, when I saw the first time, I was in shock. What
So
is this?
I put a link to an article that explains the difference between gigabyte and gigabyte.
Very good. Very good. Now, if you choose 60,000 Iops, which is for provision Iops, then you will have to use another server. You have to use a Nitro, which is super fast, okay, and super expensive as well. So,
What is the name of the one that you just mentioned besides provision Iops?
provision Iops. It's the second one. It's the second one in your graphic.
No, you said if you need more than provision.
Right, yeah, it's right here.
Oh, Nitro. Okay.
Nitro. I said Nitro. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. So volumes with greater than 32 Iops, which is 2 times the general purpose, right? General purpose is 16,000 right here. Okay. So Iops, then you will have to use a Nitro-based instance. Okay, that's gonna be more, more powerful and more expensive. My point is that for GP2, okay, don't forget this this acronyms here. GP2 is for general purpose. IO1 is for Iops. All right, IO1. I want you to write down this. GP2 is general purpose. IO1 is provision Iops. SC1 is code.
It's what?
SC1. You don't see in the screen?
Oh, code. Sorry, I had it small.
Code HDD, right? And ST1 is throughput optimized. Okay, so it's good for you guys to know this other way to name these guys or to refer to these guys. GP2, IO1, SC1, ST1.
So does this equate to an actual physical device?
No,
so SSD is what they called GP2, and he says general purpose SSD. Is that a real SSD, like a physical SSD versus a hard drive, like an HDD?
Okay, this is all virtual. Oh, well, if you take it to the computer and computer terms, yes. Yes,
no,
it is.
I'm talking about at the data center, right? I mean, are they actually equating this virtual access to this this virtual hard drives, right, to actually something in the data center that it will be an SSD or an HDD?
Right. Everything that you use in the cloud, it is physical.
So it does equate to a physical device.
It does. Okay.
By the way, the pricing between one and the other, it's 45%
higher, right?
Yeah. For SSDs.
Yeah, it's expensive, but the performance of your business or your applications is going to be much better. It's just a matter of whatever your needs are. It depends on the business, the traffic, the capacity that you need. It's just about that. Okay,
By the way, Professor,
go ahead.
I just shared a free EC2 book with the whole class. So guys, you can go ahead and download it.
Nice. Very good. Very good. Good. Straight from the horse mouth. Amazon. Very good. Okay, so the throughput is 500. When you choose, that's the maximum volume, 500. As you can see, the capacity of this guy is much higher than this guy, the power of this guy. Coal is 200 and 200, 250, and the throughput volume is 200 megabytes per second, 250 megabytes per second, 1000 megabytes per second, 500 megabytes per second, 250 megabytes per second. Okay, this is just how fast it can work. But for just the volume, the Iops, you know, this is what defines the use cases, right? What defines the use cases. Just you know, remember this section here in the middle. That's what tells you what you really need based on based on you know, the capacity or the input output per second that your application needs. Okay, higher, 16,000 or lower, is going to be general purpose. 16 more than 16,000, then we need provisional Iops. If we need only 500 with this guy here, then throughput optimized would be the guy. And if we need 250 or less, that's going to be cold. Okay, so first you have to select if what you really need is SSD or HDD. You have to know that, because this guy is going to tell you what you need. Okay, don't forget this chart. This is very important. And now we're going to see for this. No, so the general purpose is recommended for most workloads. That's why it's called general purpose, right? It's GP2. Don't forget that, GP2. Okay, and system boot volumes, virtual desktops. We're using our, you know, EC2 instances. Low latency interactive apps, development and test environments. So we can use this guy for this scenarios here, right? And for this guy, for provision Iops, then when we have a critical business application that requires sustained Iops performance, or more than 16,000 Iops or 250 megabits, maybe bits of throughput per volume, okay, then we need provision Iops. Don't forget this number, okay? 16,000 and 250 for speed, okay? Large database workloads. So if you have a large database, you're gonna need this guy, okay, for large databases. Now, if you need for streaming workloads requiring consistent, fast throughput at a low price, okay, at a low price, then you can use throughput optimized. This word is key. Big data, okay? Big data. It's a big amount of data. This is a specialty in AWS, big data, okay? But data warehouses, right? For log processing, cannot be a boot volume, okay? It cannot be a boot volume. It's not a volume that is used when booting. This is for throughput optimized, right? Code throughput oriented storage for large volumes of data that is infrequently accessed. Scenarios where the lowest storage cost is important. If you're looking for a storage that is, you know, cost efficient, and you don't require that big capacity, right? And is not frequently accessed in your application, the information is not accessed frequently, then this is the guy, okay? If you want to save money with this guy, you know, the word code is telling you everything. it means that it's infrequently accessed. Okay, so when you have some time today or tomorrow, take a look at this chart and try to understand it well, because for this exam, they may ask you about this chart. For the solutions architect, they may give you scenario, and then you have to select which one you need. For the cloud practitioner, it's just concepts. For the solutions architect, it's concept, applied concepts. Okay, so you have to apply it to the daily life. All right, so very important, these guys. Now, snapshots. Snapshot, what is a snapshot that we talked about before? It's a point-in-time snapshot, okay? It's like a frozen image of your service, a frozen image in time, frozen image. You can create a new volume at any time. So when you have a snapshot, okay, when you have a snapshot of your volume, with that snapshot, you can create many volumes from that snapshot. Okay, so it's like a like a loop, a cycle that loops. You have a volume, you create a snapshot of that volume, and with that snapshot, you can create another volume. Okay, just in case you want to share your volume with another availability zone. Remember that a snapshot and a volume is only for availability zone, right? It's a zone specific. Now, if you want to share that volume, whatever your EC2 contained when that snapshot was taken, with another zone, what you have to do is just from that snapshot, create another volume and select another zone, and that's it. So it's pretty good to have a snapshot. Okay. Encryption, encrypted Amazon EVS volumes, no additional cost. Encryption is free in AWS. Don't forget that. Okay. Now, you can create a snapshot of an unencrypted volume. Just hear this. When we create a volume, if we don't encrypt it, it's not encrypted, right? But if you take a snapshot of that unencrypted volume and you create another volume, you can encrypt that volume, the volume that you create, the new one. So don't forget that. We can create a snapshot of a volume that is not encrypted and encrypt the new volume that we're creating from the snapshot. Do you understand that, guys?
Yeah.
Yep, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So related to cold zones, right? I'm looking at cold zones, cold HDD, and I'm looking at S3 pricing. What would be the use case for using cold HDD versus S3 for
cold? All these guys, they need to be attached to an EC2 instance.
Okay, so okay, it goes back to the EC2 instance.
Yeah, all of these guys are EBS volumes. Don't forget.
So Oscar has a good question on the chat. So if you need to do a backup, right? Can you do a backup back to the cold HDD versus an S3? Odmaro is the one that has the question. I'm sorry.
Okay, where's the question?
It's in the chat.
Can I use cold HDD for backup process? You can
The question is, can you use a cold hard drive to make a backup process, for example?
Backup process?
Yeah.
Yeah, you back up any volume.
Okay.
You can back up any volume, but I would rather use the word snapshot.
It's a backup, for example, a one time per week or two times per month.
I would recommend every day. Okay. I would recommend every day. It's highly recommended to make a snapshot or a backup of your application every single day.
But price wise, I'm looking at the pricing. So I'm going back to the pricing. So it's like 0.002 cents cheaper to use S3 for backups, right? Versus the
Okay.
price for cold HDD.
Okay.
So why would I want to use an S3?
Okay. S3 is for storing backups.
Uh-huh.
You don't back up S3. S3 is to store information, right?
But don't you back up to an S3?
Yes, but S3 has nothing to do with the EC2. S3 is for anything. Okay, a cold HDD volume, it has to be attached to an EC2 instance, right? S3 has nothing to do with this EC2 instance. S3 is to store everything. And among all those things that you store in EC2 S3 bucket are backups, okay? But you don't back up an S3. You store a backup in an S3. What you back up, snapshot is a volume, and then you store in S3.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on the EC2 with the volumes. My question is, so if you have an EC2 instance and you have either SSDs or HDDs and you want to do a backup, why would you want to go to an S3 backup rather than a cold HDD if the pricing is not that different, you know?
But S3 is not a backup. Isn't that what you just said, Professor? It's not a backup, it's storage.
No, you use it for backup. It says in the slides.
Yeah, but the problem is that the durability of S3 is 11 nines. 11 nines. So it's just, okay. So the preferred place for backups and information that is S3. That's the preferred way. That's the one that AWS recommends in the documentation, right? So you can take a Amazon EVS snapshots, right? And you can back up the data on your Amazon EVS volume to Amazon S3. Okay. As far as I know, I know probably you find information that is different. You never store the snapshots in the volume itself, because if you lose the volume, you lost everything, the snapshots and everything. So what AWS recommends is to save that snapshot in an Amazon S3, because an Amazon S3 doesn't depend on the EC2 instance. If the EC2 instance disappears, your Amazon S3 is eternal. It will not disappear. It has nothing to do with that. Okay.
So the advantages are, it's not about money only. It's about advantages of not losing your
availability.
Availability, but also longevity.
Yeah, and reliability and everything, and scalability, because Amazon S3 is scalable. It's super.
Can you send this link through the chat? This is good to have.
Why not? Okay, so just remember that the preferred way for several reasons to store your snapshots is S3. Okay, because of the durability. It has in an 11 nines. It means that in 10,000 years, you may lose it one time only in 10,000 years. So that's what it means. It's super durable and and reliable. All right. So we have here no additional cost, elasticity, increased capacity, and change to different types. You can change the type if you want to. So volumes and Iops, Amazon EVS volume persist independently from the instance. If you have a snapshot, don't forget. And also what we saw before, if you just terminate the instance, the volume will stay there. Okay, so you can put a snapshot and keep the volume. Okay? And with that volume, you can attach it to another EC2 instance. So all volumes types are charged by the amount provision per month. So the amount provision per month. Input output operations per second. Input output operations per second. IOPS, you have general purpose SSD charged by the amount you provision in gigabytes, right? Gigabyte per month until storage is released. Magnetic. This is something that is almost legacy. It's charged by the number of requests to volume. This may not be in your exam, but it's good to know about it. Magnetic. It was not included in the chart before, but it doesn't hurt to know a little bit about it. Provision IOPS SSD. We have here charged by the amount you provision in IOPS by percent of the day, month used. Okay, the percentage that are used during the day. You got to be careful with this guy. This guy is expensive. Okay, so you got to be careful with that. What you're using, how many IOPS you're using per day. That's super important. Okay, but if you're a large business that can afford that, well, welcome, because your performance is going to be much, much greater. Okay, so very important this. Okay.
Juneski,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Maria.
So on an EC2 instance, I know you already said that you can put multiple volumes on that instance. Can you also put different kinds of volumes? In other words, a general purpose, IOFs, magnetic, cold. Can you put them all in the same EC2 instance?
I don't see why not, but I don't see a purpose. I don't see a reason why.
Well, one is cheaper than the other, right? So let's say that I want something that it's really really accessible and faster. I might use SSD, but if there's something that I don't need to access, that I do need to access, but not as fast, then I will use an SSD.
You may have your development drive in one particular type of volume, and your operation and your day-to-day in other,
Why not creating two EC2 instances? Why not creating one EC2 instance for development and one EC2 instance for HR, for example? Why creating two different volumes in one EC2 instance?
I assume
it's kind of contradictory because two different types. How can you compartment? How can you break down the information that's going to use one storage and the information that's going to use another one? How can you do that?
Well, SSD doesn't SSDs and HDDs use the same file system?
Well, for that, for that we have EFS that is highly available, and it's a shared file system. That's a good question, Maria. Never had that question before. Never seen it either. I never seen to use. Probably you can. I have no idea. I have to.
So I'm going to give you that one as an assignment.
Yeah. I know. I'm going to do my homework.
Okay. Thank you.
So, there's a cost associated to storing snapshots in Amazon S3. Okay. So whenever you store this, if you can afford doing snapshots as frequent as a day, go ahead and do it. Remember, if your application is constantly changing, I recommend doing it as frequently as possible, because your information today may not be the same tomorrow. So, but there's a cost associated to it, and it's per gigabyte per month of data store. So snapshots are free. What is not free is storing them in Amazon S3. Okay, don't forget that. Data transfer inbound, like we saw before, remember? Inbound is free, but outbound is not free. Okay, so it has different tiers depending on how much you're transferring. Okay, but like we said in the first class, we're only charged for compute, storage, and outbound data, outbound transfers. Okay, don't forget that.
Juneski, can you establish security policies and access control policies, per volume?
Yes.
Meaning,
there's security in place for every single thing in
Amazon, I imagine. So then it all comes out at the end to a cost, right? So if having two different instances, one for development and one for
production,
operation, it is much more expensive than having two different volumes. When one of them could be a cheap one, just accessed for development.
You have to do your numbers.
Yeah.
You have to do your numbers to see how much. It depends on the instance type that you chose. It depends on different factors. I don't know. Maybe having two is cheaper than having one. It depends. You have to do the numbers.
Yeah.
We have to go for cost. You have to go for lower cost, no matter what. Right?
That's clear. And another question,
and don't forget, you have to go for high availability too. You have only one instance. Don't forget that it's more available if you have two. So you have to analyze the scenario and see which one is more convenient for you.
Okay. And in terms of pricing for those 4 categories of volume types that you mentioned, does it go cold, cheapest, then general purpose, then
cold is the cheapest,
then throughput optimized, and then provision Iops? So
yeah,
is that the order?
Yes, that's the order.
Okay.
SSD is cheaper than SSD in any aspect of life, right? Solid state drives are more expensive than SSD.
But throughput optimized, is it cheaper as well than general purpose? No, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, because SSD is more expensive than anything else.
Okay.
But remember, general purpose is highly efficient compared to throughput optimized, because it's SSD. It's much better. The performance is much better. But don't go by the order of the chart. Okay, because if you say, for example, let me go here. Okay, wait. I don't know why this is. Okay, if you say that it goes from right to left, that's not completely true, because provision is more expensive than the others.
Yeah.
Provision Iops, okay.
Yeah. So what does cold mean?
Cold.
Yeah. Cold.
It's not hot. It's not hot.
What is it? Yeah, I mean, yeah, temperature-wise, but what does that mean in this?
That is not frequently accessed.
Got it.
Okay. It's accessed infrequently.
Professor, can we take a break, please?
Got it.
Yes, it's time for it. Okay, let's take a 10 minutes break, and let's continue after 10 minutes. Brian, are you there?
You're calling me?
Yes, Brian.
Yes.
Could you deploy the website?
I did deploy the website. I didn't like because I wrote it in HTML. I didn't like the way it originally looked, so I destroyed the majority of it, and now I'm bringing it up like again. But I'm kind of trying to decide what to use it for. If I don't know if I should use it for like a professional website or like for hobbies.
Where did you deploy it?
On S3 Bucket.
Nice.
Yeah, I can put up the website in the chat.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is deploying S3 Bucket.
Nice.
With the custom thing, the custom domain. You see?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did this yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly easy. I think the only issue I never got around because I had other stuff to do this weekend was get a certificate to make it use HTTPS. I think
you gotta buy the certificate, and you have to.
No, I bought the certificate, but I was waiting for it to finish pending, but I never went back to check on it.
All right. So this one is in React. Okay, this one is not HTML, it's React.
Okay.
Which is super fast.
Yeah, it's JavaScript.
And you were able to do all that from the free tier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have to check on the price. I have to check how much, but I cannot check it until I see that I have a bill. I have to see how much. It's gonna be cents, right? It's like 5 cents.
Yeah, for me it's like 50 cents a month.
A month, more or less, depending on how much, how big it is.
Yeah, I think the only thing you're gonna have to pay.
That's super convenient. You're paying 50 cents a month for hosting.
Oh, it's for hosting and for an EC2 instance that I have running.
Building and deploying everything.
Yeah, it was like $12 for the domain, but that was nothing.
Yeah. Well, I bought mine for $2, for $1.
The domain because it was .site.
.site, yeah. Depending, if it is .com, it's a little more expensive. .site is $1. But I have my personal website hosted in GitHub. Okay, so for this one, I'm not paying anything. It's hosted in
GitHub Pages.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I created all this, and and certifications and everything, and then I bought my domain, my name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even need to have a certificate. It's already secure for you. So,
why is it already secure?
Huh?
Why is it already secure? You mentioned. Oh, because it's through GitHub Pages?
No, it's through HTTPS.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you use an S3 bucket, it only allows it to be a static, so it's just running it off 80, port 80. So if you want to make it secure, right? If you ever want to add something to, I don't know, contact you or just to secure the website further, you would have to get a certificate, and then use the certificate to authorize your website to run on 443.
If I write here, I think it's Dunieski Otano .github.io, I get exactly the same. You see, because it's redirected to my domain. So for that one, I get the benefit of having a certificate already here. Okay. So I don't have to buy any certificate. I just enable HTTPS and that's it. So that's pretty good. I didn't have time and didn't have the will to write the code for a website completely. So I decided to go the easy way, even though I can do it myself, but I just put all the formatting that I wanted for this website using I think it's Jekyll templates.
Yeah.
I changed all this and even put my LinkedIn account here, or my GitHub repositories right here. So I think it's pretty good. And I have my students in my class in Miami College do the same, and they already have their website. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I have my domain already. I just need to actually work on the website and get everything.
Yeah, and I like this feature that the menu slides down. I like it.
Yeah.
So guys, we're back here. It's time 10 minutes. We are a little late, a little behind the schedule, so we have to continue. The EBS demo, I already did it. So it's not gonna be difficult. It's you're gonna do a lab on this. I'm gonna explain the lab today. We're gonna go to Vocarion and I'm gonna explain the lab. The lab basically is gonna be almost the same as this one, even though when these slides were created, they were not created based on Vocarion, but Quick Labs is different. But it's basically the same steps. Create an new EBS volume, attach the volume to an Amazon EC2 instance. I think that you can do that already. Create and configure your file system, create a snapshot. Then the final product is going to be an Amazon EC2 instance with an EBS volume attached, and then you're going to create a snapshot. So it's going to be a very good lab. I hear some good comments on the lab.
I like the lab.
Yeah,
I like the labs a lot, actually.
Yeah, because they go step by step.
Very hands-on too.
Yeah, very good. And you don't have to pay for anything. You have to use your free account. Amazon.
Well, it's a navigation thing. It's getting used to how AWS is set up and how to move around it. And so the labs are really, really helpful. In learning how to do that.
And AWS itself, AWS Academy itself, is using another service to create those labs.
Mm.
Do you have an idea what service that is? To create the labs. Remember, we spoke about one service that is infrastructure as a code, that we create the services with code. Remember?
As a code, what, Lambda?
No. We don't create
CLI?
No, because this is automated. You don't use the CLI is manual.
Oh.
CloudFormation.
CloudFormation.
CloudFormation to create the labs.
Okay.
Create an EBS volume, attach the volume. These are the steps to store the snapshot. Okay, restore the snapshot.
So you said
One moment. When you say restore the snapshot, you have to create another volume from that snapshot. Yes, go ahead, Oscar.
Sorry, did you send this lab yesterday night?
You should get it today after the class.
So what was the one that, so you sent yesterday 2 labs, I believe, right?
Did I send 2?
No, just 1, I think.
No, there was one from
that EC2 instances.
Yeah, lab 3.
Lab 3. Today is lab 4.
Yeah, no, I know. But I mean, that's right. Okay.
This guy, like we said before, it's an object store level, object level storage. Okay, don't forget that. It means that if you want to change a part of the file, you have to make the change and then re-upload the entire modified file. Okay, so Amazon S3 stores data as objects with resources called buckets. So you create a bucket. The bucket's the container where you put those resources. Okay, don't forget that. Managed cloud storage solution is managed. You don't have to do anything about it. It's designed to scale seamlessly and provide 11 nines durability. Don't forget that, 11 nines durability. Okay, 11 nines. Don't forget 11 nines. If I tell you 11 nines, I sound like a broken record, but I know what I'm telling you this. It's 11 nines. Okay. Store as many objects as you want. Okay. As many objects. It's virtually unlimited. Okay. You can store as many objects as you want. As many objects as you want. Okay. The bucket names must be unique, right? When I created a bucket name for the website that I created, I just put www.myclassroom.site. No one has that because that's my domain. Okay, so that's the name of my bucket. No one has that. It's my domain. If for any reason you put a name that is very common, you have to make some tweaks. You have to add something like your name or your last name or something that makes it unique. It has to be unique. It's in the entire AWS infrastructure. Okay, so when you create an S3 bucket, real quick, you know how to create an S3 bucket, but I'm just going to show you here. When you create an S3 bucket, here, you see here, can you see this here?
No.
Can you see my cursor here? Right-hand side, top?
Yes.
It's global. S3 does not require region selection. It's global, okay? Even though when you create the bucket, you have to select a region. You see here? You have to select a region. And you have to see where the service is available. For example, here in Middle East, Banray, that's in India, I think.
No.
It is not available there.
Sorry.
Not available in Milano. U South 1 is not available there, but it's available in the other regions. Okay, so even though it says global, you have to choose the region where the bucket is going to be residing. Okay. Amazon S3 cannot be used as bootable drive. Of course, it's not used with any EC2 instance. It's just a standalone service. Data is stored redundantly. It means that it scales, is redundant. Access Amazon S3 with AWS console, one of the software developer kits, or a third-party solution. You can access that. I can just give you an URL, and you can access my S3 bucket. But this is the way you can access the S3 buckets, right? So I have how many buckets now? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 buckets. If I use my this guy, my terminal, right? Which by the way is all horrible here, and we have to change this thing here. Okay, I'm gonna make it preferences. I'm gonna choose this homebrew guy. Okay, so I'm gonna quit it. This is Mac. Okay, nothing to do with the other window. So I can say here, remember that my AWS CLI is already configured. Okay, we did it last class. Okay, it was already configured. I have all things here. So what I have to do is use AWS S3 LS, right? And it's gonna list all my buckets. There you go. Okay, so I'm using AWS, which is the company that we're using. We are using the command S3 or the service, and then the subcommand, which is ls, and that stands for list. So we're listing all our buckets. Okay, if you don't have any buckets, then we will not show anything. Okay. So object uploads or deletes can trigger notification workflows, or even scripts. When you have a bucket, for example, here in the bucket, we have something like properties. And in the properties, this is where you host a static website, right? You have to enable it. You have something called events, right? You can event, you can add a notification, you can give it a name. So whenever you put is when you upload, right? When you put any object, I can select an as a topic, right? My first topic, and then I can receive a message when I put an object. When someone uploads an object, I can have an event that triggers a message, right? Or I can trigger a lambda function, and I choose the lambda functions that I have. So basically, this event property, what it does is notify me of any event that I choose here in my bucket, right? If someone permanently deletes something, you know, I receive a notification of any event that I need, right? So I can do this, and I can do it either through an S and a topic, a simple notification service topic, which is an email basically. And I choose the one that I already created. You have to create this. You have to get a topic and use a subscriber. A subscriber is an email, and the subscriber will receive an email telling me that, or telling the subscriber that someone either put or post or copy or deleted, whatever. Okay.
And you upload a file through CLI to your S3 bucket, to an S3 bucket, I should say.
Yes. Yes. You can use here versioning. Versioning is for high availability. If something happens to the original file, you still have a version. Versioning is also used for attackers, for hackers. You know, the hackers will also get will get the original file, and then you may lose it if you don't have versioning. Okay, but if you have versioning, you still have the version. Okay. You can encrypt here the bucket. No, you can encrypt the bucket here, right? I can enable, no, this is logging, sorry. Encrypt here. I can use this encryption here, ES. It's a standard encryption standard here, 256, right? Or you can use KMS, which is an encryption service that AWS has. It's a key management system. So you can choose either one. And whenever you choose this, right? Whenever you choose this, every single object that is uploaded is going to be encrypted. And that's what we call server-side encryption. Server-side encryption. So when they land in the bucket, they are automatically encrypted. Okay? If you enable this, right? If you don't enable this, then it will not be encrypted. You have to encrypt it in transit or from the client side. Now, when you do this, then you can have a bucket policy, right? That says, I don't want any object that doesn't have in the header of the request, if it doesn't have in the header something that says that is encrypted, I don't want it. So don't even try, right? So you can restrict the upload of files in your S3 bucket that are not encrypted, or you can just let it upload and then encrypt it when it's inside. Okay, you have several options here, but you can have encryption by default. You can enable that. Okay, so you can have the server access logging. You can just enable logging to see all the actions that have taken place in your S3 bucket. You can have more grained logging thing, object level. You can have transfer acceleration. This is expensive to make fast and easy transfer files to and from the bucket. You can have use tags to track your cost. I don't know if you remember that I said that tagging for now is not important, but for cost is super important, cost. And you can prevent objects from being deleted. You can use object lock. Okay, so those are the things that you can do with an S3 bucket. You can have a public access. You can block public access. You can have an access control list, okay, ACL. You can have a bucket policy. Okay, and you can have CORS configuration. CORS is cross-origin resource sharing. Okay, if you don't know about CORS, you can research a little bit more about CORS. Okay, it's when the browser doesn't recognize what's happening. You have to enable CORS for that. And you have management. You have a life cycle here. Is when you change from one class to the other in S3 bucket. You can enable replication if you want to do cross-region replication or replication in the same region. You can enable that. Okay, that has to be done manually, but after you create it, it's going to be automatic. You have analytics, just in case you want to analyze the entire bucket or tags, and it lets you analyze your patterns, suggest the candidate age transition. It gives you suggestions to change from one class to the other. Metrics, inventory, you can create an access point. So as you can see, Amazon has a lot of features that you can explore in your time, in your free time, and they're great. They're great. Okay. So you can have data in transit or at rest, can be encrypted automatically. That's what I just talked about. Storage class analysis, that's what I just talked about. S3 analytics to analyze storage access patterns, a transition to the right data to the right storage class. You know, that's important. You have to know if your objects are not accessed frequently, then standard is not your best bet. So you have to choose infrequently accessed storage class. So we're gonna see the storage class in the next slide. Okay, but that's just about it. Okay, so Amazon S3 storage classes. Amazon S3 offers a range of object level storage classes designed for different use cases. The standard is the one that we know now. Okay, the S3 standard is the one that we know now, right? Now the S3 intelligent tiering is the one that is designed to optimize cost by automatically moving data to the most cost-effective access tier without performance impact or operational overhead. It works by storing the objects in two access tiers. One tier that is optimized for frequent access, and one tier that is low cost tier that is optimized for infrequent access. So why is this? What it's basically doing is either using this one or this one. So that's why it's intelligent. Now, you are the one that has to decide if your files are accessed frequently, right? Or are accessed infrequently, okay? Then you're gonna store the files there. But with this guy, intelligent tiering, which is rather new, I think they created last year in probably September, October. This guy by itself, it can determine if the file is frequently accessed or infrequently accessed. So what it does is if the file begins to be accessed frequently, it moves it automatically to here, to standard. Because it have two tiers. It have one tier for frequently, and it has one tier for infrequently. So by itself, it will determine by the frequency that the file is accessed, it will determine where to place the file, even in the standard or in the standard infrequent access. Okay, of course, intelligent tiering doesn't work with these two. It's just giving you an example. It has two tiers inside of it. It has two tiers, one for frequently and one for infrequently. Okay, it's like not using intelligent tiering and using these two. Okay, so I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Is this that is smart enough to move the files back and forth depending on the frequency they're accessed?
That's so what is the measurement of frequency in this environment?
I
what
think
does that mean?
It's a month. How much time? How many times is in a month? In 30 days, mostly. Mm-hmm. But it depends. You know, it's. I mean,
frequently and infrequently. It could be daily. It could be weekly. It could be monthly. It could be yearly. So I'm trying to figure out how do they assess something being frequently or infrequently as accessed?
Yes. Okay. For example, it says here for small monthly monitoring and automation fee per object. Amazon S3 monitors access patterns of the objects in S3 intelligent tiering and moves the ones that have not been accessed for 30 consecutive days
Okay.
to
So
the
it's 30
infrequent
days.
access tier. If an object in an infrequent access tier is accessed, it automatically moved it back to the frequent access tier. There are no retrieval fees when using the S3 intelligent tiering storage class, and no additional tiering fees when objects are moved between the access tiers. It is the ideal storage class for long-lived data with access patterns that are unknown and unpredictable. All right. So S3 standard is predictable, right? Because it's accessed frequently. S3 infrequent access, standard infrequently access, or also known as AA, is predictable as well because it's not being accessed. This one is for no unknown or non-predictable. Okay. So if the file is not accessed 30 days, 30 days.
Please put yourself on mute.
Yeah, I already did. So S3, what happens is after 30 consecutive days, it moves it back to the frequently accessed tier. And if the file, it's it has only to be accessed only one time to move it back to the frequently accessed tier. Okay. So we also have one zone. One zone, as you can see, it's not highly available, right? Because it's in a class that is one zone. It means that if the zone is down, you lose everything. This one is for zone infrequent access, also known as one zone IA. Okay, and there's no retrieval fees for these guys. So when you retrieve the guy, there's no fee for that. Mostly you are charged for having the files there, okay, stored in S3, but not for retrieval. Amazon S3 Glacier, that's another one that's for archiving. Don't forget the word archiving, okay? Very important. This is for archiving, where what you save is archives, right? Now, this guy doesn't work with buckets. It works with vaults. A vault, like in a bank, a vault, V-A-U-L-T, vault. And you create the vault, and then you can put the file there in the vault. For S3 standard, and these guys, for these guys here is a bucket. For these guys is a vault. Okay. Amazon S3 Glacier Deep Archive. This is even for for even less accessed files, and is even cost and more days without access. Okay. Now there's you have to pay for the storing the files here, and the access is gonna be different. It's in tiers. Okay. The time that it takes to take the files from here is immediate from the standard intelligent tiering, standard frequent access, and one zone infrequent access. But in the case of Glacier, it takes hours, okay? And we're gonna see that later. So to upload your data, photo, videos, documents, etc., you create a bucket in one of the AWS regions, upload any bucket, any number of objects to the bucket, okay? Now, memorize this. This is the URL for your bucket. Okay, memorize this. They may give you 4 options, and they may mess this up and put it just disorganized and tell you which of the following is a valid bucket URL. So you have to know that the first part here is the region. Then you have .amazon aws.com, and then you have the bucket name. And if it is an object, okay, this is only for the bucket. But for the object, it's going to be exactly the same. The only thing that you're going to have inside the bucket, you're going to have your file, which is known as the key, right? The file is the key, right? And the value is the content that is in the file. Okay, so don't forget that. Take a look at this, at these URLs, and memorize the different components of the URL so you're not surprised in the exam. Okay, I've seen questions that have different URLs and I have to choose the correct one. Data redundantly stored in regions. Okay, remember that we have to enable cross replication, region replication. Don't forget that. Remember, I think it was management here. Here, you have to enable that. Okay. So you have my bucket here, and then you have this in this region. That's for cross-region replication, but for availability zones is automatic stored in 3 different facilities. Okay, so this is automatic. The one that you have to enable is cross-region. So we have my bucket name here, whichever it is. And the media is welcome.mp4. That's your file, right? So file. So in facility 1, we have a copy of that file. In facility 2, we have the same copy of that file. And then in facility 3, we have the same copy. So it is replicated in 3 different facilities. Okay. When I say facilities, data centers. Okay. So that's how highly available an S3 bucket is. But if you want to go and do it across regions, then you have to do a cross-region replication. Okay. Design for seamless scaling. You have my bucket here, and then you have here we automatically managed S3, the storage behind your buckets even as your data grows. So this allows you to get started immediately and to have your data storage grow with your application needs. Amazon S3 will also scale to handle a high volume of requests. You don't have to provision the storage of throughput, and you will only be billed for what you use, okay? There's no Iops for this. There's no throughput for this. There's nothing. You just upload the code and that's it. And it will scale automatically, okay? So you don't have to worry about any high availability for this. That's why, you know, it's the preferred place to store backups and all this, because it's very highly available and durable. Above everything, is durable. 11.9s, don't forget that. So the ways you can access that is through either the management console, the CLI. You can access the S3 bucket. Remember, we printed on my buckets. I printed on my buckets in the CLI, or the AWS SDKs. Don't forget these 3 ways. You don't need to know about this guy because this guy's for developers. Okay. That's why it's called Software Developer Kits. Now, these are the 3 ways you can access your buckets, okay? Don't forget that. The console, which is this, that's the console. Call me your S3, okay? The CLI, remember, we saw it, and the SDKs, okay? Don't forget that. Common uses. When do we use this? When you want to store application assets.
Professor, sorry, I just have a quick question. It's Ciara. The slide before, those are the 3 ways we can access our buckets?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. But don't forget, the user that you create has to have both console permissions, management console permissions, and programmatically permissions. Remember when we created a user? Remember in IAM? And we create a user. And we have users here. I have Orlando Andonieski. I create a user. Remember this? You see it, guys?
Yes.
This here.
Yep.
Okay, if you don't give the guy this access, the guy will not be able to use the CLI or the SDK. Okay, so you have to give access to that. If you only give access to the management console, the person can only come here to the console and use S3, but will not be able to access the buckets through the CLI or SDK. Okay, and also the AWS APIs. Okay, very important. The user has to have access. If you're using your root account, which is the account that you created, yes. But if you create users, you have to give them access, either programmatic access or AWS Managed Console access. You choose whatever you want. You are the administrator. So, you have to create one, right? One or the other. But you cannot leave the user without any access, because the user needs access. What is the use cases for S3 buckets? If you want to store application assets, by assets, it's they mean pictures, videos, all things. Static web hosting, backup and disaster recovery. You can save that. Staging area of big data. Big data uses all the services like, Athena, Amazon Glue, QuickSight, those services that are for big data. You can use Amazon S3. S3 is gonna be everywhere. S3 is gonna be with you your entire life, okay? I said before that CloudWatch is gonna be with you your entire life. S3 too is gonna be there. EC2, no, because people are choosing Lambda over EC2 because they're going for a serverless architecture. And by the way, S3 is serverless. That's why S3 is being used both serverless or serverful. So S3 is going to be there. Okay. You pay only for what you use, including gigabytes per month. Transfer out to other regions. Put, copy, post, list, and get. Okay. For put is uploads. Okay. Put is uploads. Copy is when you copy. Post is when you post something similar to uploads. List is when you list it, and get is when you get the information from the S3 bucket. Okay, whatever information you have there, you can get it. These are methods. HTTP methods, right? If you know about requests and responses and all that, API calls, all that, then you're gonna know this, guys. There's still delete and patch options. Those are HTTP methods, but these are the guys that S3 uses the most. You don't have to pay for transfer in to Amazon S3 and transfer out from Amazon S3 to Amazon CloudFront or Amazon EC2 in the same region. Don't forget this. Okay, CloudFront is the guy. I would say that CloudFront is S3's little bigger brother. Okay, is a guy that uses S3 as an origin to give users the files they request. So Amazon S3 CloudFront uses S3. Okay. So we have here in Amazon costs. Consider the following to estimate the cost. Type of storage classes, okay. Standard storage is 11 nines durability and 4 nines availability. Don't forget this number, guys. Remember these numbers. 11 nines durability, 4 nines availability, okay? Why? Because some of them have the same durability, but the availability is not the same. Okay, so we can say that standard storage and standard infrequent access, they have the same durability, 11 nines, right? But they don't have the same availability. Standard has 4, standard infrequent access has 3 nines, okay? 99, 99, 99.9, okay? Don't forget that, very important. And the cost depends on that, okay? How available it is, how durable it is, okay? Amount of storage. The number and size of the objects, very important. The number and size of the objects. An object that is 1 gigabyte is not the same. It's not going to cost the same as an object that is 4 gigabytes. Okay, that's pretty logical. That's what happens in whatever storage you may consider. Okay, the more you store, the more you pay, right? Types of storage. Okay, the type of storage, if it is standard, standard and frequent. Okay, so okay, let me highlight this. The type of request as well, the number of requests, get, put, copy, type of request, different rates for get request than other requests. So different rates for get, depending on the get request. Okay, when I say get, is grabbing a picture from S3. Okay, grabbing a picture from S3. Okay, web hosting is not the same as having files in your files. For example, in my case, I'm hosting a website and I have some files inside, right? I have some files in my S3 bucket. Okay, so if you see here in my website, I have files, but what I'm doing here is storage these files. No one is getting this information. There's no request of this information. Now, if I have a picture here and people will download that picture, okay, and for example, on Facebook, if you want to download a picture of someone, you can download it. That's a get request. So I'm getting the file from that, okay? Or I'm simply getting the file, just putting the file here, but I don't have any files. So I can delete this logo thing. I don't need this, any of this, okay? I don't have any logo on my website yet. But that's what I get when someone tries to get the information from your bucket, okay? You're gonna be charged for that. So data transfer, pricing based on the amount of data transfer out of the Amazon S3 region. Remember, we are charged for data transfer out, with the exception of if it is to a cloud front or EC2 instance in the same region, okay? Don't forget that. Data transfer is free, but charges for data transfer out, okay? But if there's a transfer out to cloud front or EC2 instance in the same region, is free. Don't forget that, okay? So Amazon S3, sorry, this is so fast here. Review. Amazon S3 is a fully managed cloud storage service. Fully managed means that we don't have to do anything. We just upload the file and that's it, okay? It stores a virtually unlimited number of objects. When it says virtually unlimited number, it says it's unlimited, okay? Unlimited. Pay for only what you use and access at any time from anywhere, okay? Amazon S3 offers rich security controls, okay? We don't need to do a demo because we already created a bucket and this different stuff. Amazon Elastic File System. This is one of the most difficult ones because this is the one that we are accustomed to the least. Okay, but this is a file system that you mount on the network. Okay. If you know anything about networking, there's one that is called NAS. It's a network attached storage. This is the equivalent in AWS. Okay, it's a file system that you mount all on the network. Okay. Now, the key word for this guy is shared. Shared. Why? Because several EC2 instances can share the same Elastic file system. They can access the same files. With the other guys, you cannot do that because remember that only one, an EBS volume can only be attached to one EC2 instance, right? But this one is mounted on the network and it's shared. So it's different different EC2 instances have access to, they can have access to the same file system, okay? It's shared, don't forget that, share. It's highly available, okay? It's very scalable. It provides simple elastic file storage for use with AWS services and on-premise resources, It is easy to use and offers a simple interface that allows you to create and configure file systems quickly and easily, okay? Amazon EFS is built to elastically scale on demand without disrupting the application, growing and shrinking automatically as you add and remove files. So your applications have the storage they need when they need it, okay? So this is, if they ask you in the test that a company is looking for a highly available, a scalable, shared, elastic file system or storage, this is EFS for sure, okay? That's what makes EFS different from the other ones, because it's shared, okay? It's mounted on the cloud. Amazon EFS features stores in file storage in the AWS cloud, perfect for big data and analytics, media processing workflows, content management, web servicing, and home directories, petabyte scale, okay? Petabyte scale, low latency file system. Those are features that you have to remember, okay? Those are keywords that you have to remember for this petabyte scale and low latency file system. When I say petabyte scale, it means that it can scale to the level of the petabytes, okay? The petabytes. Share storage, it can be shared for different EC2 instances. Elastic capacity, is highly elastic. Supports the network file system version 4.0 and 4.1 NFS network file system version 4 protocol. Okay, you don't have to know about these protocols, but at least know that it supports those protocols. It's compatible with the Linux-based AMIs for Amazon EC2 instances. That's the AMI type that we are choosing for every single EC2 instance that we create. We're using a Linux 2 AMI, so it's compatible with that. So we have here the architecture. This is a graphic for you to understand what happens here. So we have the VPC here, right? We have the availability zone A, availability zone B, availability zone C. So we have here an EC2 instance. We don't have any EC2 instance here. We have an EC2 instance here. So we have a network interface. So we have to have a network interface, NI, right? And then there, we can mount this in a network interface, and the mount target, right, is going to be this guy, the network interface. And then you can share the files with the EC2 instances. Two EC2 instances are using the same elastic file system, okay? So the file system is here, right? We have it here, and then we mount it in the 3 availability zones. You see? That's the good thing about elastic file system. It is highly available right here, and it can scale automatically, right? We have another availability zone here, let's say availability zone D, then we can share the file system with this guy too. So whatever is inside here, all the files that you have here in this file system, all these EC2 instances that you have here, in this case, we don't have any, but we can create another EC2 instance here. All these guys, they have access to this file system. So again, what makes different or unique this service is that it's shared, okay? If we have one EBS here, don't forget that EBS is zone specific. We cannot use that EBS file here or here unless we create a snapshot, and then from the snapshot, we create a volume, and then we create the volume, we share the volume here, okay? Remember, when we create a volume, we choose the availability zone. So from the snapshot, we can create a volume, choose the availability zone B, and then use that EBS volume here. The same with here, okay? But with EFS, we can just share it. We mount it in every single availability zone through a network interface, and then we can share the files, right? That's pretty awesome. That's something that happens with EFS, okay? That's what makes EFS different. So how do you do the implementation? You create your Amazon EC2 resource and launch your Amazon EC2 instance. You create your file system. You create your file system. You create your target amount in appropriate subnets. You connect your Amazon EC2 instance to target mounts. You clean up resources and protect your AWS account. I'm gonna send you guys a video that explains how to mount an EFS volume. It's a long process, fairly long. I mean, much longer than what we have here in this class, and you will understand it better. How you don't have to be an expert mounting this EFS systems, but at least you should know that, you know, the theory part that is highly available. It is a share file. It automatically scales and things like that. Okay, more than anything. The file system, you have the mount target. The mount target will need a subnet ID. Okay, it will need a security group, one or more per file system. Okay, you can have a mount target per file system, one or more. In this case, in the last type, we have several here. Okay, we have 3. You can create in a VPC subnet, or you create it there. Okay, you create here in the subnet, right? Subnet. 1 per availability zone, very important. The mount target is 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. It must be in the same VPC. If you take a look at this, the VPC is the same. Okay, is the same. So those are the requirements to mount a target. Okay, they need all this. And the tags, the key value pairs, just in case you want to tag it. Remember, for cost, tagging is crucial. Okay, so this is all about EFS, right? So Amazon EFS provides file storage over network, perfect for big data and analytics, media processing workflows, content management, web serving, home directory. Is fully managed. Okay, by that they mean that you don't have to do anything. Just create the file system and that's it. Whatever happens in the back end, behind the scene, that has nothing to do with you. That's AWS problem. AWS's problem. It's a fully managed service that eliminates storage administration tasks, accessible from the console, the API, or the CLI. Don't forget that. It scales up or down as files are added or removed, and you pay for what you use. I think that complies with AWS's billing policy. Okay, you are billed for what you use. Okay, you add files and more files, it will scale out. Okay, you remove files, it scales in. Okay, the demo, I'm gonna send you a video for that. Okay, Amazon S3 Glacier. Okay, so we have here the storage, Amazon Glacier. Don't forget, the key word for this is archiving. Archiving, okay? Archiving. And files are stored in a vault, okay? In a vault. So Amazon Glacier is a data archiving service designed for security, durability, and an extremely low cost. As the files are less accessible, I mean, not immediately accessible as S3, a standard and infrequent access and all that, is cheaper. Okay, it's extremely low cost. It's cheaper. Okay, now in the test, if they tell you the company is looking for a durable storage system that stores objects, and they can access the information immediately, don't choose Glacier. Glacier is not the answer. The answer is a standard S3 standard. And you have to see if they're asking for infrequently accessed or frequently accessed, and then you can determine if it is standard S3 or S3 standard infrequently accessed. So you have to take a look, you have to read the wording of the sentence, okay, of the question. But if it says you can access them immediately, is all of them except Glacier, okay? Glacier, it takes hours to take them, okay? The design is durability 11.9's objects, just like S3. It supports SSL, TSL encryption of data in transit at rest, the same as the S3 standard, what we talked about. The vault lock feature enforces compliance via a lockable policy. You can lock the vault so no one can access the vault or change anything, okay? Why is this important? Let's say that you have an audit every month or something, or there's an audit soon. The FBI or government or any other company that audits you every now and then is coming to audit your company. They may require that no change may happen or will happen in the files. So all the archives in your Glacier storage class, they need to be locked. So no one will change any files, okay? So this is the objective. This is the purpose of the vault lock. It's a policy. It's a policy. And a policy is a JSON document. It's just a document that says that no one can access or no one can change the files in the vault, okay? So extremely low cost design is ideal for long-term archiving. It provides 3 options for access to archives: expedited, standard, and bulk, okay? Now, it's very important that you know the time that it takes for, one moment. It's very important that you know the time that it takes for, one moment, let me find here. So I'm gonna put this here. All right, very important. For the expedited retrievals, you can get the data between 1 and 5 minutes. Okay, so it may take anywhere between 1 and 5 minutes. Okay, so it's not accessed immediately. Okay, if you have standard S3, I mean, the moment that you try to retrieve that information is going to be there immediately. But for Glacier, if you have expedited, which is the most expensive retrieval option, is going to be between 1 and 5 minutes. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. And it's going to be at a rate of 0.03 per gigabyte retrieve. Okay. Right. Now, for standard, it's going to be between, a standard's not here. It's going to be between 3 to 5 hours if they haven't changed it. 3 to 5 hours. Okay. And the bulk is going to be between 5 and 12 hours. Okay. Let me see if I can find something that is more, you know, here. Um, I wonder why they don't have that here. That should be there. All right, right here. You see, guys? So expedited is going to be between 1 and 5 minutes. Standard is going to be between 3 and 5 hours. And bulk is going to be between 5 and 12 hours. Okay, that's what you have to know for your exam. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy all this. I'm going to copy all this. And I will copy it, and I will create a PDF file for you guys so you can access that later. And then I will post it in the room, Google Room. Okay.
Can you send the link?
Yes. Okay. Okay, but basically this is what you need to know. Okay, there's 3 guys here. Okay, this is what you need to know more than anything. Okay. Very important. Okay. Okay, so we continue. So extremely low cost, 3 standard from a new minutes to several hours. Don't forget, expedited. How long does it take? Expedited. I want to hear some answers. Expedited. How long does it take?
1 to 5 minutes.
And standard?
3 to 5 hours.
3 to 5 hours. And bulk?
More than 5 hours.
12.
5 to 12. Okay.
How standard is what?
Standard is 3 to 5 hours.
And what's
A bulk is from 5 to 12 hours.
Thank you.
And expedited 1 to 5 minutes. Okay. Using Amazon Glacier, RESTful web services. We can use Java or .NET SDKs or Amazon S3 with lifecycle policy. Okay, what is a lifecycle policy? You can come here, okay, S3. And then in S3, for example, I have here some maybe files here. And let's say that some of the files are not being used frequently, and I want to send them to S3, to Glacier. So what I can do is all the files that I have here, I can create a lifecycle rule, right? And I can call it my Glacier rule, maybe if I want to, whatever name you want to give it. and then limit the scope to specific tags. No, apply to objects. Okay, and then I can say the current version and the previous version. Let's say the current version. Okay, then you can add a transition here, right? And in the transition, you can say transit from this to Glacier, okay, after 90 days. Okay. If you think that your files will not be needed anymore after 90 days, you can do that, right? So I can say here, configure expiration. I can say from the current version, I can say expire after 63, 65 days, a year, and then they will disappear. Okay. So I can clean up. Now I can say next. I can acknowledge that, right? And I can save, and it already created a right cycle rule for me, right? So the entire bucket is going to be affected by that life cycle rule. Okay. So what's going to happen? This bucket here, my classroom.site, right? Everything that is inside here, you can have thousands of buckets, right? But everything that is inside here, everything is going to be moved to Glacier after 90 days. Because I know that this is going to be used probably for 2 months only, or 3 months, and no more, right? But I still want to keep it. So I'm going to move it to Glacier, okay? And then it's going to be there for 1 year, okay? So I don't need this guy, so I'm going to delete it. I'm going to disable it. And then I'm going to delete it. Okay, no more, it's gone. But that's how you work with this guy, Amazon S3 life cycles policies. All right. I just gave you an example of Glacier. I can move my files, let's say whatever name I want to give it. I can move my files from the standard to the standard infrequently accessed after 30 days. Okay, because I know that my files are not gonna be accessed so frequently after 30 days, so I can move there. I can create another then, and then after some days I can move it to I don't know, Glacier after 90 days, right? Okay, so I can have several rules there at the same time to play with my files. Okay, so that's what the life cycle policy is. All right, you create a not policy, rule. That's what the life cycle rule is. You create this structure here, and then automatically it will happen for you. Okay. So this is how it happens. Okay, just what I show you in the console. Amazon S3 life cycle policy allow you to delete or move objects based on age, right? So you can, delete it after 1 year if you want to, okay? Amazon S3 standard, you have this guy here, right? A preview to that MP4, so it's an MP4 file, right? Then after 30 days, I move it to infrequently accessed, okay? It's right here. After 60 days, okay, this is not written in stone. You can choose any day you want, right? You can say 45 days if you want, all right? And then after that, it's moved to Amazon Glacier after 60 days, right? Or 90 days, whatever you want. And then after 365 days, boom, delete it, okay? That's a life cycle policy, okay? A rule that we create in a cycle. Do you understand, guys? You
Yes.
guys?
Yes.
Okay? All right. Don't forget this. Life cycle policy is the way you can move one file from one storage class to another one automatically. Okay. So we have a difference here. Okay. This chart, memorize it, swallow it, ingest it. Okay. Swallow it again, ingest it again, because that's what compares the two different storage classes. And they may try to confuse you in the exam, right? So the data volume, there's no limit. There's no limit. You can store as many objects as you want, okay? Average latency is milliseconds. And this one is between minutes and hours. Don't forget, this one is immediately. And this one, if it is expedited, how long? Expedited? Tell me real quick. Expedited? Expedited?
1 to 5 minutes.
1 to 5 minutes. Standard?
3 to 5 hours.
Good. And the other one, Buck?
5 to 12.
5 to 12 hours.
Okay, so this one will take minutes or hours, okay? Now, the item size, okay? The item size is 5 terabytes maximum per item, right? Now,
Per object.
yeah, per item, yes, per object, yes.
Okay.
Item is object, just the same, okay? Now, Glacier is 40 terabytes per item, per object, okay? Now, if you need to store an object that is higher than this, more than 5 terabytes, then you have to use something called S3 multi-part upload. Okay? S3 multi-part upload. If you need to upload something that is greater than 5 terabytes. Okay? I'm gonna.
You mean 40?
Eh?
You mean greater than 40?
For Glacier. But for standard S3 is 5.
Oh.
And usually, I mean, you don't store, you don't upload files in Glacier. Glacier is an archiving system for, well, after a certain time, certain age, you put them here. Okay? But mostly what people do, they store it in Amazon S3, right? And then from here it's moved there. So I'm gonna put the URL here for multi-part. I'm gonna create another document for you guys so you can take a look at that. Okay. So what else can we say here is it's more expensive. Standard S3 and the other guys are more expensive because they are available when? Immediately. This one is cheaper because it takes more time for retrieval, you know? They're not accessed frequently. So a build request is put, copy, post, list, and get. We saw it already. Your build for this and your build for upload and retrieval. So when I said that people usually upload the files here, I didn't say that that's 100% what happens. I said that people prefer to upload them here and then move them to Glacier. But you can upload them here. But if you upload them, it's going to cost you. All right. Retrieval, it takes you're going to be charged for that. Okay. At a certain price. It's cents. Okay. Retrieval pricing per request, right? Cents. And then it's going to be more expensive. Glacier is going to be more expensive for retrieval per request and per gigabytes. So be careful with this, right? Amazon S3 is more expensive, right? To store is more expensive, but to retrieve is cheaper than Amazon Glacier. Okay, so memorize this chart, and don't forget that this is very important for the exam. So server-side encryption. You have here your applications in your data center, right? So you put here, you send the file through HTTPS secure, you see, and you can send the files here. So you can have applications in both on-premise and AWS, right? That's a hybrid architecture, right? And through HTTPS, because we want to ensure that what comes to our buckets is simply secure, right? So we can put it here, and then we can either upload them in S3 or upload them in Amazon Glacier. Don't forget this, encryption in S3 is optional. Okay, it's optional. You can encrypt items that are not, you can upload items that are not encrypted. But for Amazon Glacier, it's by default. So whatever enters, whatever is uploaded in Amazon Glacier is by default encrypted. Okay, but for Amazon S3 standard IA, standard one zone IA, all those guys, encryption is optional. Okay, you can enable it, and if you doesn't enable it, then it won't be encrypted. But here is by default. Okay. So security with Amazon Glacier, you have Amazon Glacier here, control access with AWS IAM. And what is IAM? What does it stand for? Please, guys, what does it stand for? IAM?
Identity and access management.
Identity and access management. This is where we create users, we create access policies, all that. Don't forget that, right? We create groups, we create roles and everything. Okay, so Amazon Glacier encrypts your data with AES 256. Okay, so okay, that's advanced encryption standard. Okay, the advanced encryption standard, also known by its origin name ring dial, is a specification for the encryption of electronic data established by the US National Institute of Standards and Technology in 2001. Okay, the block sizes are 128 bits. We are using the key sizes 256 bits, right? That's why it says AES 256, right? So by default, it encrypts that using that standard. Okay, advanced encryption standard. And Amazon Glacier manages your keys for you. So the encryption keys, you don't have to worry about them. In S3, we can create our keys, but in this case, it's managed, right? For you. You don't have to worry about the keys for encryption. You know, the keys for encryption and decryption, you don't have to worry about that. It's done, it's all done for by AWS. So Amazon Glacier is a data archiving, I don't know, broken record, data archiving service designed for security, durability, and extremely low cost. Guys, I have a question for you. What is the durability of Amazon Glacier?
11 nines.
11 nines.
You looked up.
No.
10 nines.
11 nines.
That's why I moved it to the previous, because it's right there. The answer is right there. Amazon Glacier pricing is region-based. Okay, you know, that's what we spoke about before. Regions, prices vary from region to region. Extremely low cost design is ideal for long-term archiving. You know, the option of deleting the files in 1 year, it's optional. You don't have to do that, right? It's optional. Just in case you want to dispose of those files after 1 year, it's something, it's up to you. Okay, you can have them there forever you want to. And the service level agreement is, and the durability is 11 nines of objects. Okay, like I said before, it just means that you can lose it once in 10,000 years. That's what it basically means. Okay, so the demo is for Glacier. I'm gonna load a video for that, so you don't have to worry about that. I will do it. And also in the review, we saw characteristics of Amazon EBS. What is Amazon EBS? Real quick, we have 6 minutes, 5 minutes to finish. What is Amazon EBS? Can you tell me as much as possible?
Elastic block
storage.
No, not a storage.
Service.
Blocks.
Store.
Store.
And what is S3?
Simple storage something.
Service.
Service.
In that case, it's storage. But in the case, yes, it's
okay, simple
storage service. Three
storage
S.
service. Oh my God.
3 S's. That's why it's S3. 3 S. Okay. And what is Amazon EFS?
Elastic file
storage.
system.
Don't forget that. System.
System.
Okay. Very good. When do we use Elastic Block Store? Real quick. Questions. Come
To
on.
connect to an EC2 volumes.
Yes. Can
And
I
it
use,
uses blocks. And
can I use several volumes in one EC2 store? In one,
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Can I use the same volume in different EC2s?
No.
Okay, good. If I update my data, do I have to upload the entire file with EBS?
No.
Oh,
Just
no.
no.
It
Oh,
only changes. It only changes what?
Just
one
that
block.
one. That
one block at a time.
One block.
That block, particular block, right?
Yeah.
And the storage is incremental.
No.
Yes.
Yes, it is. It
Yeah.
only changes the part that was changed. It only
Okay.
updates that. It's incremental.
Okay.
What are the different the 4 types of storage with EBS?
SSD.
SSD. What do we have in SSD? What does SSD stand for?
Solid state drive.
And what do we have there? How many do we have?
General purpose and Iops.
Iops, provision Iops, right? And what is another name for general purpose?
GP2.
And for provision Iops?
IOPS.
IO1.
IO1.
Get that. Okay. What is the other section that we have for EBS? What is the other section?
HHD.
Stands for what?
Something hard drive.
Okay. Hard disk drive, right?
Hard disk drive.
Okay. And what are the 2 options that we have there?
Glacier.
Glacier.
No.
No, that's S3.
That's S3.
This is EBS.
Okay.
HDD
And
cold.
Cold.
Cold and throughput optimized.
Throughput optimized. That's right.
Throughput optimized and cold. What is the maximum throughput for general purpose?
16.
16 what?
1,000.
100? 1,000 million?
16. I don't know. What's that geek? Is that
1,000.
the Gibby bytes?
16,000.
Okay. And what is the maximum for provision IOPS?
64,000.
Okay. And what is the maximum for throughput optimized?
500.
Good. And the maximum for code?
No, I don't remember.
250. Okay.
250.
Okay. You don't have to know it now because it's too soon, right? But you have to, go over the chart.
Hey, I answered 3 of them. What are you?
Good.
Professor, do you have any like practice tests for the actual exam?
We're gonna start next week.
Okay, but I mean, like, just stuff that we can look over and just familiarize ourselves with, how the questions are asked and what's covered and all of that.
All right, I'm gonna give you. You wanna start with that? I'm gonna give you my website where I have all the exams. Let me.
Okay.
1 moment.
Oh, here it is.
So I have all the exams here. They're scheduled to happen. They're scheduled to open.
Nice.
You see? They're scheduled to open next week. I will have to change them to open. Because the problem is that I want to do it. Can you hold for a moment, guys?
Sorry, what did you say? I didn't hear.
Okay, so I'd rather take a look at this one only. Let me open this one. This one, the mini one, so you can have an idea of how it works. But I don't want it to open it now because you need to be a little more confident and more stronger.
So my reason for for asking that is often it helps me if I work back from something versus towards it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So I'm gonna upload this guy here, and you can start practicing here. Okay, so you can use that website. Can you test it to see if it works?
Yeah, hold on.
You guys just go to the website and test it.
It's asking
Use the
for
word.
email.
Test Moz.
It's asking for an email, and when I enter my email, it says that it's not an acceptable email address.
Okay, let me see. Let me see.
What are we doing?
You're having access to the first exam. So anyone that enters an email.
Where?
Okay, anyone's in. Okay, now you can take it. Try now.
Let's see.
Let me save it here. Try now.
Yes. Now it lets me go through.
Okay, so guys, you can do that in the meantime. I have an idea how this is. It's gonna give you a grade. Okay, for this one you have to get more than 70%, right? More than 70% as a passing score. It's gonna give you a message if it is a passing score. Good. If it is wrong, it's gonna give you this message less than 70%. You can take it as many times as you want. You have 30 minutes to take it. Okay. So you have to quote 20 questions for 30 minutes. Okay. So you can practice, for now. And on Monday, we're going to start with these exams. I have 12 exams for you. Okay. Each one has 65 questions, right? And we're going to have one every day. So we got 1, 18, 19, 20, 21. You're going to have an exam every single day. Even Sundays, okay? You're gonna exam every single day, right? And on top of that, I'm gonna give you access to a platform where you have a lot of exams to take, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. In this case, you don't have the choice to take the exam in practice mode. When I say in practice mode is that you can see the feedback immediately after you take the exam, okay? I'm sorry, after you answer the question, you can see the I'm not gonna give you that. Okay. You have to fight. Okay. And then you're gonna find it. But when you have the other platform, the access to the other platform, then you will have that option to select test mode. Okay. And then you can see the feedback right after you answer the question. Okay. So guys, I think that that's all for today. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. If we're from the other class, can we still take this exam?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can, but don't forget that this is going to help you to understand the basics, but the exam, the actual exam of the solutions architect has nothing to do with it.
Oh, I know. But I'm still willing to take both.
Yeah, you can take. Yeah, you can take both. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we leave?
Yeah, Professor, will I be able to take the other class after this?
Why not?
Great.
Okay. Do you have the link?
No. No, I don't mean today, right now, because I don't want to confuse myself. I want to just stay in this for right now. But I mean,